Comes to starting a pooper scooper business, one of the most important decisions you can make is with the equipment you actually choose. If you have the wrong stuff out there, not only is it going to slow you down, it also could cause some health issues like wrist pain or other problems like that. So in this video, we're breaking down some of the top equipment that we use, just like this. But don't worry, we will be testing it out outside, not in my house. And we'll also have a link to our Amazon store down below. So if you want to buy some of the same equipment and tools that we use, you can check it out there. Let's get right into it.
Hey guys, this is Levi with Poop Scoop, and today I want to give you an equipment tutorial on what we use, how we use it, and I'm going to break it down by the must-haves as well as the essentials. But the first thing I want to do is talk about probably one of the most important tools that we have on our team is the Corona extendable hand rake. Kind of the backstory on that is when we first started, we didn't know what kind of equipment or tools that we needed to use. So naturally, we kind of went online and did some research and tried different things like grabbers and scoopers, and none of it really worked. So what we did is we called other companies around the country and said, hey man, what do you use? And they all kind of had the same consensus, which was, oh, we all use the big red rake. So naturally I said, oh, tell me more. And they said, well, this is the Corona extendable cultivator hand rake. It extends, actually. All you have to do is, you see the open tool right here, you just twist it, and then it'll extend up to 33 inches, whatever, based on your height, whatever you're kind of comfortable with, a much more ergonomic setup. And I remember practicing in friends and my own parents' yard, and you know, with the old equipment, I was cleaning maybe 2 yards an hour, not that efficient, right? But with this, immediately, I was cleaning like 4 yards an hour. So huge productivity bump with this. It does a fantastic job of getting through long grass or dirt, gravel, rocks, anything you can think of. The only thing I would say it's maybe like a 7 out of 10 would be on concrete patios. It does okay, but that's why we have another tool, which I'll talk about in the future. But anyways, everybody pretty much swears by the Corona extendable cultivator hand rake. You can pick it up from North 40, Lowe's, online, QC Supply, I think is where we buy from now, but there's a lot of different suppliers out there where you can get this rake. The next tool that we have in our arsenal is the Quickie Jumbo Lobby Dustpan. So I'm not exactly sure how you had pictured it when you first started thinking of this business, but for us, we wanted something very ergonomic and commercial grade, essentially. With a little tiny scooper, I kind of laugh when I show up to people's houses. They have like 2 Great Danes and they have one of these little metal scrapers, and I can see why they hired us, right? This does a fantastic job of, we basically line it with a trash can and we'll scoop it in with the rake, which you'll learn more about in the future, but this is basically the industry standard from all the people that I've talked to around the country as well. So the Quickie or a red lobby dustpan, doesn't matter what color, there's all sorts of brands out there, but this is definitely what you want to have in your arsenal. The next thing that we use are trash bags, naturally. You'll go through a lot of these as you're starting your company. We probably spend something like $600–700 a month on trash bags. We go to Costco and we get 200 bags. Ours is the Kirkland scented bags. It's about 10 cents a bag. You can pay 9 cents if you want them unscented, but personally I just prefer, it depends on if you take the waste or not, but in general I really prefer to use the scented bags. I'll pay the extra penny every time. Perhaps you can even get a better price if you talk to Costco, or if you find some supplier, you might be able to get it even cheaper than that. That's something that we're looking to as well, but you definitely want to have good trash bags that are strong and durable. The next tool that we have is a 1 gallon garden sprayer. So between each stop after we clean a yard, we actually disinfect our equipment with a kennel grade disinfectant. We actually put a scoop of the powder in here and it lasts an entire week. So you want to make sure that your client's pet safety is the top priority. We clean so many yards, we don't want to transmit or spread any germs from yard to yard, right? Something like parvovirus or any sort of bacteria germs would be a disaster for the business. So you want to definitely make sure you have the right safety precautions in place by disinfecting your equipment between each stop. Another tool that we have is like the Corona, this is the Corona, basically a hoe. So this is really useful no matter where you are, but especially if you're in a climate where it snows. The waste can get kind of frozen on the ground. Whatever you can reasonably scoop up. We don't go crazy and dig through the snow, but early in the morning when the sun kind of comes up and everything's still frozen, the waste can actually stick to the grass, and we just kind of dig at it really quick to scrape it up. It's been a wonderful tool for us, and my team definitely swears by it. So having something like this, otherwise you just have to kick the piles and it's really tiresome. So having this, it just makes life a lot easier, having a hoe like this. The next tool that we have is actually a step ladder. You'll find that people have really messed up gates, like you can't even reach them half the time, and you have to reach over and there's just not really a convenient way besides trying to step on your bucket to unlock the gate. So what I do is inside Sweep and Go, you can have like a note section when you pull up to a customer's house. It'll say you need a step ladder for this to be able to open the gate and get through to the backyard and clean it. So already right off the bat, the technicians will know if they have to have some kind of step ladder. I think half the time was an exaggeration, maybe like 10% of the time, but this is really a good tool to have as well in your arsenal. And lastly, for the must-haves, I definitely recommend investing in a solid pair of gloves. Ideally, you want them to be waterproof and thinner, because if you have thick gloves with the gripping the rake or any tools, it's going to put a lot of strain on your wrists, and you want to make sure you have the most ergonomic setup as possible. The job really is what you make of it out there. If you have a good pair of gloves and a solid pair of boots to keep your hands and feet not wet, it's going to be just fine out there. You will be pretty miserable if you don't have those two things. So I highly recommend investing in a good pair of thin gloves, just to make sure your wrists are fine. And lastly, we also wear company vests, especially during like the winter time. Everybody bundles up differently. And so we kind of found it hard to get and stay on brand when there's just a jersey that you can't wear. So we have a vest that they just slap on top of it. It's reflective at night. They'll be able to see us. And it's just a lot more clean cut of a way to do it. So anyways, I hope that helps. And those are the essentials. All right, so now these are the nice to haves. The first one I have on the list naturally is the Lysol disinfecting wipes. We're handling dog waste all day, and no matter how good you are, even if you saw me wearing white pants, you're gonna get messy in the job, and you wanna have a way to be able to clean yourself up, even if you're wearing gloves. So I always try to carry these with me and wipe as I need it, or maybe my tool has some extra gunk on it and I'll just wipe that off really quick. So I stick with the Lysol wipes. The next recommendation, the next nice to have, I like to have a box of tissues. It's really cold out here sometimes and your nose gets really runny, so having some tissues is gonna make sure you're set up. I really like these Febreze car fresheners. What you can actually do is, see on the back it has a clamp. You actually clamp these down to your heating vents, and then when the air blows, whether it's hot or cold, it'll actually produce a nice fresh scent for you. This is really nice, especially if you're not taking the dog waste and you just have your tools in the back of your car. It's not super bad, but it is a little smelly, so having this in place really helps a ton too. Next item on the list, Febreze spray, kind of like what you do in the bathrooms, psh, one of those. Just having this is nice too as well. I have a bungee cord set with the step stool, right? You kind of, sometimes you have to get into the houses and you have to reach over and get it, but with the bungee cords, I use this. If I'm unsure if the gate is actually shut or something sketchy with the gate, I'll actually bungee it myself and I'll just let the customer know, hey, this is what happened. I tried to shut the gate as best as I could, because sometimes the wind might damage it, or the customers don't even know their gate's health sometimes, right? So just doing something to make sure the dogs don't get out, and then letting the customer know that everything is secured the best you could. It's really helped us out in a couple binds before. I also like to have a roadside emergency kit. Inside of here, it's really compact, but it'll have things like jumper cables if you need them, flares, and other sorts of tools. Mostly I use it for the jumper cables. The next tool I have is the first aid kit. Ultimately, if something happens, it doesn't even have to be a dog bite. Somebody could have just scraped their arm on something or any sort of workplace injury. So I try to keep the essentials in here, which is having some bandages or gauze or Neosporin. So this has definitely come in handy a couple times. Moving on to marketing pieces and other things. I require every truck to have a box of business cards in here. Really common if you're at the gas station or you're done cleaning Mrs. Jones's yard and you come outside and somebody is walking past you, they're walking their dogs, hey, what do you charge? So being able to have a business card ready whenever you need it is definitely going to help grow your business, because there's a lot of opportunities like this that come up when you can give out a business card. People are very curious naturally about the service and they want to know more. So having that on hand also makes you look more professional and put together as well. I also have a yard sign, a stack of yard signs. I usually like to keep maybe 20 in the back seat with a stake, as you can see here. You never know if you'll see a good spot around town where you can put it up. And depending on your city ordinances, if you can allow yard signs, then I definitely think you should carry some in the back always. And we have a bunch of trucks running around, so having those stacked, and once in a while we'll even give out contests, the best yard sign in town, take a picture of it and they'll win $100. So running fun contests like that is also great. I like to carry dog leashes too. Learned that one from experience myself. I think when we first started, I was like 6 months in, and this lady had 5 basset hounds, and she's like, just make sure, whatever you do, just make sure that my dogs don't get out. I said, oh ma'am, don't even worry. We take gate photos after every single cleanup. Cool. Well, like halfway into the cleanup, somehow they got out and I had to chase all 5 of them, and I didn't have any dog leashes. So I wish I had had those at the time. I think you should carry probably around 4 just in case. Otherwise, you don't have a great way to retrieve the dog, right? You just kind of have to pray and hope that they'll let you get them. So definitely carry some dog leashes, and also having a universal charging port. For our employees, I mean, everybody has different types of phone nowadays, iPhone, Android, Galaxy, all that. So having some sort of actual cigarette lighter charger to where they can just plug it in and it works for any one of their phone cords is going to be important. This, we're on the GPS maps all day. It really kills the battery. So I'd almost rank this as a must-have, to be honest. This would be at the top of the nice-to-have list, definitely. I think the last thing I have here for you is a giant container of waters. Doesn't really matter where you live, but especially if you're somewhere hot all the time, Arizona, Texas, Florida. It's a cheap investment if you just stock your trucks with water, because heat stroke is a thing, or working too hard is, heat exhaustion, all that. So, you know, a pack of water like this is maybe $5. If you have 10 trucks running around, it's only $50 to make sure everybody's hydrated. So it's just also a nice thing that you can do for your employees. So I like to carry a bunch of water bottles in the back for every truck. But anyways, I hope that helps you guys. All right, really quickly, I'm gonna show you how to actually use this equipment. Basically the main 2 things, the bucket and the rake. Keep in mind too that we actually have all these items inside our Amazon store for you. So it's just easy access. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the bucket, we'll take our trash bag, and we're actually gonna line the yellow bucket with the trash bag. We're gonna put it over the top and the bottom, see? And this is what the clamp's for. We're actually gonna clamp it down. And then it's not going anywhere, right? And we're gonna take the rake, we're gonna extend it to how we're comfortable based on our height, lock it in. And then after that, we're just gonna scan left to right. If you imagine this is like the fence line, we're only gonna go about 1.5 feet. It's nothing crazy, and we're gonna meticulously scan left to right on the yard. It's almost like we're mowing the lawn essentially. And then we're gonna flip around and we'll come this way, and we'll do the same thing until all of the yard is actually cleaned.
Well, having the right equipment is a key part of growing any pooper scooper business. That's just the tip of the iceberg. That's why I actually built a full guide to take you from just starting off to making your first $100,000 plus in the pooper scooper industry. It's gonna be floating around up here, so go ahead, click on that, check it out, and make sure to drop a comment to show Levi some appreciation for going through all of those tools and equipment with you guys. Hope you guys have a great day, and happy